Today we have 13 papers. 12 are to upgrade 12 projects to Cat A, and 1 for upgrading 1 Cat A project on the approved estimates. I'd like to remind members that if any member has any direct or indirect pecuniary interest in relation to any item in accordance with ROP 83A, when he or she speaks, he or she should disclose the nature of that interest in advance. And then ROP 84 stipulates that when it comes to voting on any item with direct or indirect pecuniary interest, that member should pay attention to the provisions therein. Now it's Head 705, Civil Engineering. May I refer you to PWSC 2014-15-11. It's Project 768CL, Strategic Studies for Artificial Islands in the Central Waters. We have to handle this item. At the meeting on the 24th of June, we completed the papers thereunder. That is PWSC 2014-15-11. And have separately discussed motions on adjournment. Those 2 motions were negatived. At that meeting, we proceeded to the item of whether or not to handle motions moved by members on this item. So I won't further introduce this paper to members. In attendance today, we have Mr. Hon Chi Kang, Director of Civil Engineering and Development, Mr. Robin Lee Kui Piu, Deputy Head of Civil Engineering Office for Port and Land, also from the CEDD, and Ms. Amy Chang Yi Mei, Assistant Director for Territorial from Planning Department. Now we have to proceed to handle the motions received. The PWSC received from Mr. Albert Chan certain motions. Mr. Albert Chan, would you please read out your motion, which is motion 0004, which will be shown on the screen in Chinese. Mr. Chan Kamlam, Mr. Chairman, you should immediately put the question to the vote. Yes, this has to be put to the vote. Mr. Albert Chan, would you please read out your motion? Mr. Chairman, I will claim a division. Mr. Chairman, I won't interrupt you, so please ring the division bell. Well, the motion does not have a formal English version. It's shown on the screen. It said that in accordance with paragraph 32A of the PWSC procedure, as the study will cost $14.9 million. As in the past years, the admission had commissioned consultants who had underestimated the impact of such major projects on fisheries, thus leading to serious losses on the part of the fishermen. Therefore, the PWSC requests that the administration, in accordance with the strategic studies for artificial islands in the central waters, set up an assessment group to assess the impact on fisheries in relation to this project. So that's the content of the motion. That's what the motion says. There's no formal English translation for the motion. So let's proceed to the vote. Members, please press the voting button and then choose one of the 3 buttons to indicate your position on the motion. That's whether you're for, against, or abstaining. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Please display the voting results. 11 present, 3 for, 7 against, no abstention. The question is negative. That means we're not handling this motion. Let's now proceed to motion 0005. We'll put the question to the vote. The question is whether or not to deal with the motion. The division bell will ring for 1 minute. Mr. Pt1, please read out the motion. Well, the motion does not have a formal English version. It's now shown on the screen in Chinese. The motion says under PWSC procedure, paragraph 32A, the PWSC requests administration to first start a new round of territorial planning studies to reassess the role of artificial islands in the whole territory. And after ascertaining that there should be such a project, strategic studies and site investigation works should start. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results. Voting results 4 for, 7 against, no abstention. I declare the question negative. Now let's proceed to motion 0006. Mr. Pt1, please read out the motion. Mr. Chairman, I claim a division. Mr. Chairman, the motion does not have a formal English version. It's now shown on the screen. The motion says that in relation to residential blocks, tourism facilities, recreation sports facilities, and land reserves, etc., they will be the major uses of the artificial islands. When aircraft enter or leave Hong Kong, they will pass through the airspace over the artificial islands. Therefore, residents may be affected by aircraft noise. The PWSC requests that the administration, when starting the strategic studies, adopt the state-of-the-art technology to assess the impact of these artificial islands on the residents. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Please display the voting results. 13 present, 4 for, 8 against, no abstention. The question is negative. Now we proceed to vote on the question related to motion 007 as moved by Mr. Albert Chan. This question is directly related to the item. Mr. Albert Chan, please read out the motion. Mr. Chairman, I claim a division. The motion does not have a formal English version. The Chinese version is now shown on the screen. Mr. Chairman, in the paper on this project, the administration says that infrastructure studies will cover the area of reclamation and transport connectivity. In terms of connectivity, the government must commission officials with no less than 10 years' experience to carry out the studies on infrastructure to ensure that feasibility of works related to the artificial islands will come up with very accurate assessment results. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 13 present, 4 for, 8 against, no abstention. The question is negatived. We now proceed to handle the question related to motion 0008 moved by Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Albert Chan, please read out your motion. Mr. Chairman, I claim a division. The motion does not have a formal English version. The Chinese version is now shown on the screen. The government said that the tourism facilities will be the major land use on the artificial islands. Many members of the public are worried that by developing the artificial islands, more tourism facilities, there will be more mainland visitors. Therefore, the PWSC requests that the administration, when starting the strategic studies, should not build tourism facilities such that the artificial islands will not be used as an excuse to increase tourism facilities to receive more mainland visitors, such that the livelihood of Hong Kong people will further deteriorate. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 14 present, 5 for, 8 against, no abstention. The question is negatived. We now proceed to the next question, that is whether or not to handle motion 0009. Those in favor, please raise your hands. I claim a division. Please read out your motion, Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Chairman, the motion does not have a formal English version. The Chinese version is now shown on the screen. This paper says that the administration will, for port administration and artificial islands, safety studies will be started. So for marine safety and marine transport, the government should commission officials with no less than 20 years of experience to lead the study, so that the study results will pragmatically reflect the impact of artificial islands on marine transport and marine safety.
Now the time for voting. Before I announce the results, please, members, check your votes. Okay, time close for voting. Please display the voting results. 13. Those in favor, against, 8, abstain, 0. So this motion is not endorsed. Okay, the next motion is 0010. Those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay. Chen Wei-Yi, please read out your motion. This motion is because in the funding request document, it mentions various land uses which do not include industrial lands. So a number of residents are worried that the new towns to be built on the artificial islands would not be able to provide sufficient employment opportunities. So the committee requests that the administration should study the possibility of building an industrial estate on the artificial island, so there can be cheap industrial land available to revitalize local industries on the future island. So it's now time for voting. Before I announce the voting results, members, please check your votes. Okay, time closed voting. Please display the results. 13 members were present, 4 in favor, 8 against. So the motion is not approved. Next motion, 0011. Moved by Gary Fan. Members, before we vote on this item, can I inquire about the procedure? I'd like the administration to clarify about some important content of our meeting yesterday. When I was at a meeting yesterday, I asked Wei Shishing of the Development Bureau about an article in Ming Pao, an article written by the secretary. I wanted clarification because Mr. Wei yesterday said he didn't issue the article, and after the meeting, the public checked with Ming Pao, but Ming Pao confirmed that that was an article submitted by Mr. Wei on April 24 in response to an article earlier. So this is an article about Cheung Chau and Lemon Island, whether there will be a reclamation there. Well, sorry, I think your question is, if you want clarification, I think you can talk to him in person after the meeting. I can't deal with that now. But I think you need to put on record. Yesterday, Mr. Wei said that was not his article. Okay, your point was taken. Is put on record. Gary Fan? Okay, let's vote. Can I read the motion? Okay. Based on the procedure 22A of the PWSC, we urge that when the time the site investigation is carried out at the site, we need to make sure that there can be regular meetings with conservation associations to ensure that future works will not affect the ecological environment there. So it's now time to cast your vote. Before I announce the voting results, members, please check your votes. Okay, time closed for voting. Please display the voting results. Okay, please show the voting results. Of the 30 members present, 4 in favor, 8 against, 0 abstention. So the motion was not approved. Okay, next one, 0012. Also moved by Gary Fan. May I ask members, those in support, please raise your hands. Oh, I'd like to ask members to vote by name. So Mr. Fan, please read out the motion. Based on Section 22A of the procedures of this committee, because there's been a large number of large infrastructure projects being planned or under construction in the waters near Lantau, the ecological environment and quality of people's living in Lantau Island has been affected. And there's also a works plan to study building the East Lantau metropolis. So we urge the administration whether they should fully consult residents on Lantau Island before carrying out 7 PWSC68CL works. So it's now time for voting. Before I announce the voting results, members, please check your votes.
現在係停，仲有一位未投票啊？
Okay. Okay, now time closed for voting. Please show the voting results. Of the 13 members present, 4 in favor, 8 against, 0 abstention. In other words, the motion was not approved. Next motion, 0013. Also moved by Gary Fang. May I ask those in favor? Please raise your hands. Chairman, I ask the members vote by name. Okay. Mr. Fan, please read out your motion. Based on Section 32A of the procedures of this committee, we urge that the reclamation in the central waters affect the residents on various islands in the area. We urge the administration to consult the people on various islands first before carrying out the site investigation and study there. Okay, so it's now time for voting. Before I announce the voting results, members, please check your votes. Okay, time's up for voting. Please show the voting results. There are 14 members present, 4 in favor, 9 against, abstention 0. So the motion was rejected.
係退還咗 ，OK。而家去到邊一個？好，咁14號咧，我哋
Okay. Okay, motion 14 was because it's unrelated, so it is returned to Gary Fang. Motion 14 actually is very, very similar to motion 6 and 9 that were just handled. So why did you approve them and not 0014? All the motions mention tourism and tourists. So the motion 14 is directly related to them. And the chief executive in his policy address said that they want to declare a core commercial district there. So therefore, I think my motion is directly related to the topic. Gary Fang, I had looked at this motion with the secretary, and we found that I think we've made similar proposals, and even this one is even more general. The talk of bringing people more into Lantau, but we're talking about central waters here. That's our verdict. If you, in the future, if you want to move further motions, you may want to discuss the wording with me beforehand. But that's my verdict today on your last version. So now let's move on to 0015. Who's in favor, please raise your hands. Chairman, I ask that we'll vote by name. Okay, based on procedures 2032A of the PWSC, because Work 768CL involves developing East Lantau Metropolis, we urge the administration to review the development plan for Lantau Island made by the government in 2007 before going ahead with this latest works.
現在開始表決。
So it's now time for voting. Before I announce the voting results, members, please check your votes. Mr. Fan, you haven't cast a vote. Okay, time's up. So please show the voting results. Of the 15 present, 5 in favor, 9 against, 0 exemption, and the motion was rejected. Okay, now, so let's move on to the new motions that we've just received. Albert Chan proposed 10 motions. Fernando Zhang also 10 motions. So I would suggest that, okay, 5 more from girlfriend, altogether 25 items, motions. So I may need to adjourn this meeting for 15 minutes so I have time to go through the motions. I'll urge our members, if you have more motions to move, please do so quickly so that we can have reasonable time. I can have reasonable time to go through the motions, and also I don't want to cause our meeting to be, delayed. I need to adjourn it for some time to, scrutinize the motions. Okay, once we've dealt with the motions, we need to vote on the proposal, the paper itself. Why was I late today? Because my car broke down in Sha Tin. But I'd like to thank the police for coming to my rescue, but it took some time to handle the case. But I'd like to thank the Vice Chairman for chairing the meeting on my behalf. So 15 minutes then, about 9:15, we'll begin this meeting again. Fernando Zhang, could you submit your motions now if you've got them ready?
I
hope that you do that as soon as possible. How many more temporary motions will you, or how many more ad hoc motions are you going to move? I'm still calculating. Maybe you handle this batch first.
Oh, 即係你個